Hello there YouTube, welcome back to the channel. I'm Joel from Jonesy's, and this is going to be part one of another build series. Our good friend Joe Steadman, you might have, if you're friends of the channel, if you've been watching, you might recognize that name as the owner who built Shrapnel. So he sent us another one. This one is a CJ8 Scrambler, and he attempted to install an LS with the original transmission and transfer case, and quickly realized that it was out of his expertise. So he loaded it on a truck, shipped it out to us, and now we are going to build an awesome CJ8 Scrambler for him. The project scope has kind of changed from when it first dropped off. Originally, we were just going to make that LS 5.3 liter work with the stock transmission. Well, now the scope of the project has turned into LS, NV 4500, Atlas transfer case, as well as full width truck axles, air lockers, and all of the good stuff. So let's get right down to the details of what we've got going on right now. We have the LS kind of just set in there, and the mounts from advanced adapters kind of mocked up and temporarily put in place utilizing the stock transmission. And we have sourced a Chevrolet front Dana 44, and we are going to be installing this Dana 44 in a spring over configuration. And so we're going to run full width truck axles. And one of the nice things about using these truck axles is we were able to take off the Chevy hubs and run Ford hubs to match the 5 on 5.5 Jeep lug pattern. So also you can see we have already mocked up the high steer arm as well as the no steering arm knuckles. Here you can maybe get a better image of that. And then for the full width conversion, we opted to go with the MotoBilt bumper and spring pack that utilizes YJ springs. So in this video, the goal is going to be to try to get that front axle pulled out, this front axle mocked up. So we're going to try and also we sourced a Ford 9-inch out of a truck. It's a big tube, big bearing Ford 9-inch, and it also has the correct 5 on 5 lug pattern as well. So in today's video, we're gonna get that, hopefully we're gonna get that full width Dana 44 mounted in the Jeep chassis with the spring over configuration, as well as that Ford 9-inch mounted in the Jeep in its full width configuration, so we can see how much fender flare we need or how much tube fender we need, and we can really get a good idea as to ride height. So let's get to it. So the MotoBilt full width conversion is pretty well designed. It utilizes a tab and slot as its kind of main fixturing, and that ties directly into the bumper. There you can see the slot for that front spring hanger. So it utilizes the 31.5-inch wide spring perches that is very common on the full-size truck axles, and it uses kind of some aligning holes so that it positions those front spring buckets in exactly the right spot. So MotoBilt is really well built. You can tell like these welds are really nice. It's all fixtured, so I'm very confident that the geometry and the spring positioning is going to be perfect once we put this in. And the other nice thing about it is that it gets you a winch plate right off the bat as well. So you kind of are killing 3 birds with 1 stone. You're killing the spring over axle swap setup, you're killing a bumper fab, and then you're also taking care of the winch plate. So if you take that into consideration, this is actually a really good way to go for these Jeeps. I'll put a link to the part number and MotoBilt's product page in the description. Well, as you can see, we have pulled the old spring under axle out, and we've gone ahead and cut out some of the add-on stuff that they had. They had somebody previously put a big, huge, extra thick square tube across there to kind of stiffen things up, and they welded it to this front cross member as well. And then in order for all of the MotoBilt parts to fit, we needed to kind of clean off some of the add-ons that they had put along this frame rail. In addition, we'll have to hack off and cut off this front shackle mount. And then we also removed the rear spring shackle mount as well, so that we can position the new hangers in the right spot. So we'll keep cutting and grinding and making room for the new parts. This is the driver's side, and here you can see this reinforcement plate that somebody had welded in there, and then they welded it directly to the shackle. And then you can also see how terribly bad those bushings have just been destroyed. So we've got some issues here with a couple of stripped bolts. So we'll have to make sure that all that stuff kind of gets corrected when we upgrade to the bigger steering box mount. And so talking about the steering box mount, we went to Moore and we got their really pretty plated heavy duty steering box mount. So we'll get that in there. That will help us make sure that that's really strong for our crossover steering. So here's the update. The struggle is real. We have the old shackle mount removed and the new rear shackle mount kind of temporary clamped in position. And now we are running into issues up front with how this spring pocket fits in there. And as you can see, there's a rivet that is interfering. And then in addition, somebody previously had welded in some really heavy wall square tube that is causing us some significant problems with fit on the locating bolt. There, you guys can see it. I was hoping we could just leave those little pieces of square tube in there, but unfortunately we can't, because it causes the locating bolt for the winch plate and for the bumper to be crooked. So more cutting, and we'll have to get those square tube ends completely removed from the chassis. Now, the other issue that we have run into is we are trying to fit our heavy duty steering box bracket, and unfortunately the captive nuts that are inside here, 2 out of the 3 have completely and totally broken loose. So we're gonna most likely need to cut a pretty good size access hole in here so that we can get a wrench in there so that we can through bolt. And then also we're gonna have to add an additional hole right up here for that steering bracket. So anyway, we're chipping away at it. Just means we have more cutting, more grinding. Well, here she is, all of her glory. Those are approximately 3-inch flares, and it doesn't quite cover the center of the tread. Gets close on the rear, so I'm thinking a set of Genrite 4-inch tube fenders is what we're gonna go with. But we'll go through some of this installation details here. So we have everything right now at this point just kind of tacked in position so that we can double check everything. There you can see the rear hanger, and we've got everything kind of mocked up with the Wrangler springs, and overall height is really good. Looks like it's a little bit low in the rear. Let me get back so you guys can kind of see the overall stance of it. It's a little bit low in the rear, so we may need to adjust that with a small block or a longer shackle. But these YJ springs fit into the original spring hanger locations. They're the same length. So we've got the 4 to 9 inch in there with the new spring plates centered up. And here you can see how much tire overhang we have on that. So what is next? Next step, the LS that is in there and the original transmission are gonna get pulled out, and then we are gonna start to mock up the NV4500 and all of that other package. So I think that's gonna kind of wrap up this video. We successfully got our full width axle conversion installed and mocked up. Now it's time to order some more parts and take some more stuff apart. Thanks for watching.